everybody. Welcome to another Three Geeks Podcast live edition. We are here in Columbus, Ohio, some of us in Jersey, having a great time talking about Batman Death in the Family. But if you want to hear about details for that, check out Animaniacs coming out on Wednesday.
Yeah, I like that promotion.
That's right. We got to start doing more of that. But anyway, lots of awesome interviews coming out. We recently interviewed Joe Alves, the guy responsible for creating Bruce the Shark, and his fascinating story about the decline of the franchise as a whole. Because, yeah, he talks about how Jaws 3 was a mess, because that's the one that he was finally allowed to direct, and that he wanted nothing to do with 4. Because I guess 3 had a lot of studio interference and so on and so forth. So,
but 4 has Michael Caine in it.
Michael Caine.
It did buy Michael Caine's house. But yeah, that interview will also be coming out this week. There's been lots of fun stuff. Justin and I have been hitting that interview grind pretty hard the last few weeks.
I like Michael Caine.
I would really encourage folks, if they're interested in like the engineering, the stage creation aspects of Hollywood, to really check out that Joe Alves interview. It's a lot of fun.
Justin and I are very guilty after every interview. We're like, I think that was the best one we've done yet. Justin and I really get into it because, yeah, everyone's better than the next. We're both getting more into the groove of interviewing, which is something that was never really a strong suit of mine, but I feel like we got a pretty good thing going on. Like I said, Animaniacs comes out this week. Everything from the Three Geeks Podcast comes out. Last week we dropped the episode where we met the con guys and Claire, who was the purple Power Ranger in Dino Charge, who will be coming on a later episode of this podcast.
All right, live show. She was cool. She's super cool, but then like her internet sucked, so she kept dropping out, so that kind of sucked. But it was a lot of fun.
Yep. And anyway, I want to start off today's podcast as I'm trying to share on Facebook. I do want to touch on a sad thing that at least I consider to be very sad, and that is Michael J. Fox has officially announced he's done with acting. His health is not in super good spirits, and I just think that's so unfortunate. One, Michael J. Fox's film career, in my opinion, was cut way short than it ever should have been in the late 90s after he did Frighteners. I think was his last motion picture.
You can see it starting.
Yeah, I think so.
But some of the TV work he did since then, he was on Boston Legal as a man dying, of course, which is, again, unfortunate. But I like how he embraced his Parkinson's, and you really get to see the sense of humor he was allowed to bring to what's going on with him. If you watch Curb Season 8, Michael J. Fox plays a character, and they have some fun back and forth with Larry David where, he shakes up Larry's Coke and Larry doesn't know if it's because he's mad at him in that particular moment, because he is mad at him in that particular moment. But Michael J. Fox says it's the Parkinson's, and he's like, I don't think it's the Parkinson's. I think he's using it. It's really funny comedy that Michael J. Fox does based on the Parkinson's. But Michael J. Fox is one of those rare actors that, and Max mentioned Van Damme to me. No, there are Van Damme movies I can't watch. But any Michael J. Fox, the Quest, the Legionnaire, anything with Michael J. Fox in it, whether it's, Oscar worthy or not, I find entertainment in watching him perform. And I'm right now going through Family Ties, and I just think the man is great.
No, Michael J. Fox is, he was a lot of fun. He's not like an Oscar-winning actor, but you don't hate any movies, and I never would be like, oh man, Michael J. Fox, like the Frighteners. I'm not putting that up with fucking There Will Be Blood or some shit, but it's, but it's always like a good time, and yeah, it sucks. His health is taking a turn for the worse. So I mean, he's just doing what he can. I really enjoy like the stuff on Curb Your Enthusiasm. That is the best. It's like, is he using his just trying to gain sympathy with this thing and yada yada. So no, it was really funny on that. It definitely sucks, and best of luck to him, and I hope he can just get better and keep it do the happy living stuff.
Yeah, we wish you the best, Michael. Mike, you got anything to add?
I would disagree, Max. I'd say in any other reality, his performance as Marty McFly would have at least gotten him some kind of nod towards Oscars, if not Golden Globes, because he did really play like teenager out of his element very well in those movies. So
I'd go Golden Globe. I can see that for sure.
I go Golden Globe, yeah. But no, it's he left behind a very much a storied career, not just Back to the Future, Spin City, Doc Hollywood, sorry, not Doc
Hollywood. I love that movie.
Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf, and that was awesome. And of course, I actually liked him a lot in The Frighteners because he was playing against type quite a bit because he was this bitter, miserable dude, and with good reason to be bitter and miserable in there. But yeah, absolutely, if he's got it to, and he also said too, he's like, well, I don't know if this will be indefinite or not, possibly, but you never know because it's like you got to do what you got to do for your quality of life, And at this point, if he just needs to be, more comfortable, I'd say he's more than earned the opportunity to live comfortably and not have to worry about, being able to carry out on acting obligations and so forth without his condition kind of being exacerbated. So absolutely wish you all the best. Thank you for a legacy of work, Michael J. Fox. If you decide at some point to come back to it, sure. But you know what? You don't owe us anything, man. You've given us so much great stuff, and we want nothing but the best for you. So live well.
Yeah, I wanted to take a page from rapper Joyner Lucas, who recently released a song about Will Smith. And he's like, you need to honor the people you look up to now while they're still with us and not after. So that's why I wanted to take a moment to talk about Michael J. Fox on this podcast today, because he's still with us. So I want to be able to honor,
And we know that he's a listener. So it's... Michael, we're here with you.
Max, I wouldn't be surprised anymore with anything. All this awesome,
oh my God,
all this awesome stuff is raining on our podcast right now. So
if Michael J. Fox listens to our podcast, I apologize profusely.
It's okay. He may not listen, but Billy Zane definitely does. We know.
Of course.
I got one more thing to say. Watching Family Ties, that is a show that should be out today. That's not, because Family Ties is really good because Michael J. Fox plays the Republican son of a very liberal family. So when they have political discussions, they do it very, very well in the context of the show. And I think that's something that we're missing in this country, the communication factor. I'm watching this, I'm like, see, this is how it used to be. This is how I remember debating with my friends about politics. You're still family at the end, and you can agree to disagree and learn.
Keep in mind, though, it was a different time, too. That was Republican and liberal classic. That wasn't whatever we got today.
Yeah.
So it would be very different today, probably.
Yeah. Now we got freaking politics, with wings from Red Bull. It's... It's not the same ground, but it would be good though if they could. I think the idea is kind of do it a little bit, to have something where it's okay, we can argue, we can have these serious disagreements and things, but still, hey, I'm not blocking.
We're all still the same team, right? That's really the important thing. Everybody's trying to get America better.
It's good, definitely. The practice of it.
Yeah,
I forgot. The Connors does handle the politics very well in their show.
I mean, I don't think.
I know you think it's a little more depressing than
that show is fucking depressing. I can't do it.
But I mean, you do see the joy in John Goodman's eyes every time he's on screen, right?
Well, because he gets
John Goodman can do no wrong.
No, because John Goodman gets to work. That's why he's joyful, because he gets to work. So,
but some good news happened this week. Well, first, Dan, Justin, you guys have anything to say about Michael J. Fox?
Just reiterate what you said, right? Get well. I loved everything you've done so far, and get healthy, right? That's all.
But some good news in the world.
You can't let people go after Mike.
It's true. You can't go after Mike.
It doesn't work.
I agree.
Okay.
Totally.
I'm working on mine. I'm working on my tribute.
I mean, I'm not knocking us. I just Mike is so.
Because Mike does it so good. Yeah, we don't do it bad. Mike does it good.
It is in my will that if I die before Mike, that he has to do the eulogy at my funeral. Yeah, I mean, and if I die after Mike, Mike's hologram has to do the eulogy at my funeral.
What if Mike kills you? Hey guys, I did it. But
that would just make for a very awkward eulogy. That's all.
Yeah.
After Mike's eulogy, then they'll just call me and Justin up.
Actually, though, I'm pretty sure that Mike's dead corpse could do a solid eulogy. I don't want to find out. I think it could.
I would love like he or she to whom it may concern, and you just go into the same eulogy every time and just.
Hey guys, 2020 is still young, so you never know.
Oh man. Knock off all the wood.
All of it.
This is also why you need to follow me up, because I can get really dark too. So,
well, I do want to say we did get some good news from DC. No, it's not Batman Death in the Family. It is the fact that they are releasing Wonder Woman 1984 to digital platforms through HBO Max, and they are not going to charge you for it. So it's going to come out in theaters and on HBO Max on the same day. And if you want to see it in theaters, you have that right, which I might go see it in theaters because I like that experience. But you can also, without having to pay an extra $30, watch Wonder Woman. And I think that's brilliant marketing.
Yeah, I've been one of
Oddly enough, this happened after they canned all the marketing division. But
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm glad that they're doing this because fuck you, Disney. Fuck you and your Mulan bullshit, Disney.
I just love the bitterness Max has towards something we all knew it was going to be bad, and he's like, "I'm buying it anyway because Mulan."
This is great.
I mean, I had to. I couldn't. I could not. But whatever.
I just like to view Max has that one sliver of shit that happens to me, like JT a couple days ago was crying about all the comic book TV shows going away. It's like, I just had Constantine and it ran for like half a year. So fuck you.
Well, going back to what he was saying, you got to appreciate it while it's there. You got to honor it while it's there.
Yeah.
How many of the live action Disney movies did you watch, Dan?
Me? I watched Aladdin and I watched part of the Lion King.
Okay. How much did you pay for those?
Well, I do have Disney Plus, so the Lion King, maybe like a couple bucks.
No, I'm allowed to be pissed, okay?
Oh no, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to be pissed. I'm just saying that we all knew it was gonna suck, but you for some strange reason.
Oh, I think he knew. I think just
he lives for the
wanted it to be good. It's not that I didn't know it was gonna suck. I wanted it to be good, and I'm like, hey. Disney, they've got all the money. They can make something good. They've done it before.
Let's be honest, you kind of knew. It was more of a 80-20 ratio that you knew it was good.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm like, the $30 price tag. But I had to see the movie.
That's ridiculous.
I'm just glad that Warner Brothers isn't doing it. And Dead Zio, I don't understand your comment fully, but Black Timus Prime supports Anakin Skywalker. Boo that man. I think Max is the person that absolutely does not support Anakin Skywalker.
Where's this coming from?
I was looking at
I don't know.
It's a bot. It's a bot.
I was looking in your background.
It's not three geeks and chained together a bunch of nerd shit.
No, don't support Anakin Skywalker. No, this is not at all.
He's not the man.
It's like you think Luke is a whiny little bitch until you meet his father. You're like,
genetic.
He's come along quite a long way.
What's up, Pets Are Weird? How you doing today? All right. So, do you guys think that Disney will do something to counter Wonder Woman coming out and release something free on Disney Plus? Do you think we're going to get Black Widow?
No, probably not.
No,
because they're Disney and they own all the IP. Yeah. So they're like, we can hold off on the Marvel stuff because we got Marvel shows coming out. So that'll tide them over.
The reason I asked that question is because WandaVision was supposed to come out in December, and now it's coming out in January, which opens December up for a release if they decide to release Black Widow.
No, you don't get. They are releasing something in December. They're releasing Mulan onto the regular Disney Plus service in December.
My God.
So everyone who didn't pay the $30 for it,
the joy in my heart right now is palpable.
You know what I'm?
You just wait until we do a monthly poll, Justin.
Man, you should hear all the stuff Justin says about you on the interviews, Max.
Yeah, I
That's
bet.
true. I just consistently bash you. It's a good 5 minutes.
He's like, can you imagine if Max was here for this interview? He'd be complaining about this movie.
Well,
Doesn't matter who it is either.
It
It's
does not matter
we
who
got
it
this
is.
guy named Max.
Let me tell you. But no, seriously, right now, in terms of the streaming stuff, Disney's the one that is putting out the most dependable, let's say, original like TV stuff that people will definitely just keep coming back for, in which case they can postpone their theatrical releases indefinitely. Like, you know, with Warner Brothers, all they got really is the HBO Max platform in terms of releases, like you said, with Wonder Woman. And I'm glad they are taking that route with the movie, because you know what, that one definitely has been put off too long. And it's just like, just release it. And
yeah, I think I'm blanking on the name, but I think the director and Gal Gadot are a big reason it's coming out on streaming. I think they pushed
Patty
for it.
Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins. I think they pushed for it as a thank you, is what they said to their fans for supporting them.
Which is cool. And
yeah,
definitely it's a good move, because if anything, that's the incentive to bring people onto the HBO Max platform, because that's the one that's really kind of struggling in terms of pulling in subscribers. So sure, that will tantalize some people to want to finally get an HBO Max subscription, probably. They're just basically doing what Disney has been doing since last winter, you know. So
the one thing about HBO Max, and I'm going to say this again, is they have the best curated classic film selection out of any other streaming services. Some Criterion stuff thrown on there. I believe Turner Classic Movies does their curated classic
that's
film.
one of their branching off, you know, subcategories.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're a film
cool.
fan and you're looking for classics, HBO Max is the one to go for, because Criterion is a bit expensive, but HBO Max is a little cheaper. You can get some of the same stuff, get some of the newer stuff. It's a nice amalgamation of everything.
I rewatched the F is for Fake documentary about Orson Welles, and how it's just like, it's a movie within a movie within a movie. And I'm like, I forgot how trippy this was. And he's just showing off how hot his girlfriend is now. Awesome.
Thank you, Orson Welles.
Getting drunk, doing champagne commercials.
Yeah, my hot girlfriend.
I mean, at this point, it's like HBO Max definitely needs some really like rousing type of features to really pull in new people. And I think this, and yeah, whatever you may think of it, the Snyder Justice League will definitely be big feathers in their cap for pulling in people interested in subscribing.
And it's another free thing they're releasing. I mean, the Snyder Cut isn't going to cost anybody money except for their normal membership.
Except for fucking Warner Brothers. I'm sure it's cost them a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Like 30 or 40 million is what they're putting in the reshoots.
Yeah.
What a bunch of dumb assholes.
I mean,
I'm excited to see it. We haven't seen it yet.
At this point, it's like, at this point, it's just like the people who really, really wanted this for some reason. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's what you were expecting, you know?
Whatever. I hope you get my Mulan experience. Fuck you all.
Nobody's going to get your Mulan experience.
No one's gonna get your Mulan experience.
Except
Max.
they're
why
getting
I
it for
say
free,
things.
Max.
I remember when I got Aladdin. Aladdin is my favorite Disney animated movie. So when I went into the live action, my expectations were extremely low, and it delivered on my expectations. I ended up enjoying. I had fun with it, and I would watch it again. I think Max went into Mulan with higher expectations than maybe he realized.
No, they were like
it was gonna be fucking Redcliffe, and it wasn't. It was just Mulan.
I mean, like, because like there are Chinese companies you can hire that have made historical Chinese movies. They've been making historical.
Oh,
Chinese
yeah.
movies that are watchable for years, like 20 years. They've existed.
But
So-
Disney, Max.
Yes, but Disney just absorbs. I thought it was just going to absorb one of those things and make the movie. Like that's what they do, right? Like
Max sat down and was like, "Watch, guys, we're going to be saying Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Who? It's going to be all about Mulan after this.
I mean,
Mulan is going to win every award."
And then they're like, "There's no dragon," but then they animate this fucking phoenix into 30 minutes of the movie. I'm like, "Why didn't you make a dragon?"
It's Disney, Max. And Disney was like, you know who can best tell this story of Chinese folklore accurately? 4 white people. So
Yes.
Yes, because they know.
And a whole bunch of Korean animators.
Yep.
Don't hire Chinese people to make a Chinese movie. That would be stupid.
But Phoenix would be super sweet.
I mean, you know, that's their bread and butter. It's like, you want to tell this tale of the African plains? Get Jon Favreau, the guy who made Iron Man. You want this new Aladdin? Don't hire anyone out of Bollywood or anything like that. Get Guy Ritchie, because it's like, yeah. What do you expect from Disney at this point?
I saw Snatch. Aladdin's gonna be great.
You know what? I went into work and I saw the Mulan Blu-ray on sale, and I just wanted to break things. I was like, what? For half the price I watched it on streaming, I could have bought this fucking Blu-ray. And then I at least had the satisfaction of snapping it in half when I was done.
Well, it's paid back for us in a whole lot of enjoyment on your expense, Max. So
yes.
we're
Speaking of
loving
Disney
it.
Plus, let's get into something a little happier, which is a review of episodes 3 and 4. Max,
Episode
The Mandalorian.
What do you have to say?
There we go.
Sorry,
No, you did not.
episodes 3 and 4 of whatever show you guys want to do. As long as it's on Disney Plus, just review it.
Episodes 3 and 4.
Have you guys watched Breaking Bad yet?
Well, no, I thought it was going to be episodes 3 and 4 of Family Ties or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matlock.
I would love to do
really...
that, but I'm on season 4, and I don't remember episodes 2 and 3 specifically. That show is the epitome of 20 minutes, and it resets into something completely new. So, yeah. But no, The Mandalorian episodes 3 and 4. Max, kick it off.
I'm digging The Mandalorian. It is the same flavor as season 1. I'm having a lot of fun. Episode 4, I think, is one of the better episodes they've had. There's a lot of because the episodes they don't really, one doesn't really mean anything to the next, but it's still kind of strung along. So this one has a lot of plot development, and you see things going on that are going to have consequences later. So I really liked episode 4. Episode 3 was good. It was just another episode.
Well, I think
you learned stuff in episode 3, though.
Yeah, I think episode 4 shows that episode 3 is more involved in the overarch. But no, if you watch episode 3 by itself, it seems very standalone until you get to 4 and you realize that some of these things are going to start to connect.
And I mean, but they have been spoilers, okay?
Spoilers.
Yeah. So they name drop Ahsoka Tano, and she is. Yeah. I fucking hate that character. So it's I'm not excited about this.
As soon as they did that, I was like, "That's cool." And Max is gonna hate that. Yes.
I hate that character so fucking much. So yeah, I'm not happy about that. But it is cool. They're tying in other stuff, and I know a lot of people love Ahsoka Tano, so everyone should be fucking happy about that. And then that's fine. But
except for Max.
Well, anybody that
doesn't get happiness.
Anybody that saw Dave Filoni's involvement in The Mandalorian and didn't think Ahsoka Tano was coming, their heads were in the sand, because he loves that character, because that was the thing that George let him create in the original Clone Wars animated.
Jesus.
No, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm being a dick. But no, I just don't like. I mean, the character did improve later on, and I know she shows back up in Rebels, at which I could not watch because it was pretty awful. But yeah, so she's coming back. That's kind of cool. I mean, I'm interested to see if they start doing Jedi shit. I liked episode 4 because you see Baby Yoda, he's trying to have him fix the ship, and you see him actually starting to grow as he's not just not just eating frog eggs and being cute. That's it's good to see some sort of development there too. So.
But did anybody not think Baby Yoda was going to blow himself up?
Oh no, he definitely blew himself. But you see him talking to the thing, and the Baby Yoda understands what he's saying. He's like, pick up the red one. This one, yes, that one. And you're now pick up the blue one. This one, yes, that one. So it's
don't put them together. Put them together.
Yeah. So that's cool. I really liked episode 4. I thought there was a lot of good stuff.
I do. I like the child shtick in episode 4, like with the cookies and the eggs. I like his shtick in this entire season so far. I think he's been fun. But when are they going to let him progress past a baby? I mean, he is 50 years old.
Like
you have to, I mean, isn't Yoda like that's a species that's long running? Like I think childlike is like 100 years or something like that.
Yoda's
that's a ways
years old. So.
Yeah, so like
so at least another 10 seasons of baby.
Yeah,
Yoda,
you're good. Adolescent Yoda.
I liked in the third episode when the other Mandalorians show up and they're like, "Yeah, you're this goofy religious zealot dude," and he's like, "What?
What do you mean?"
Like that's a little more depth to the whole Mandalorian concept there, which I thought was cool.
And it was good to see Starbuck.
Yeah, whatever.
Bo-Katan, is that her name?
Okay.
No, that's
I'm pretty sure her name is Starbuck.
Yes. Her name will always be Starbuck.
Like the actress.
Yeah,
No, the actress is
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff.
The character that Starbuck is playing in this is called Bo-Katan, but we all know that her real name secretly
Is
in lore is Starbuck.
Starbuck, yeah.
Yes.
I know a bunch of nerds went crazy when they saw her on screen because they've been wanting her to be in Star Wars since probably Battlestar
Galactica. Yes.
yeah. I mean, it's cool, but I didn't really care for Battlestar Galactica that much. So whatever.
They were getting.
I like the first season.
Yeah. It started cool, and then it just went to shit.
Well, yeah. Everything goes to shit, dude.
It doesn't have to.
Just you watch. This Mandalorian's going to pull a full Walking Dead on you.
Don't you say that. Don't you say that.
Don't you wish that evil of me, Rick?
Last half of the season is going to be the Mandalorian just flying around going, Carl. I found a prison.
Carl. And then Carl Weathers shows up, and then he takes a baseball bat to Baby Yoda's head.
Who, by the way, Carl Weathers directed episode 4.
Oh, I thought he directed episode 3.
He might have done both, but his name definitely flashed for 3. Bryce Dallas Howard did 3.
Oh, yes,
remember I said she's following in her dad's footsteps.
Yes, true.
Don't follow too close, Bryce, because your dad's quality has dropped off as of late. So.
Yeah, that's so
but he had the good rise, So
he's like the one child actor that didn't go to crap at the end of his career.
Yeah, because he stopped being a child actor.
Yeah.
I'm going to direct. Fuck this.
But I geek 3 out of 3 for the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
This show's quality. I like that a lot of the episodes are standalone, and I like that I'm a fan of serialized television, but sometimes it's nice to have a show where you can watch some of the episodes in a bottle without having to focus so much on the overarching story, which I'm glad we did get a little bit of it in this episode. But what about Titus Welliver in 3 as the Imperial officer, the guy from Bosch?
Oh,
I thought he did a good job.
Yeah. No, it was good. I like that. He's they're like, no, I'm more afraid of Moff Gideon than I am of anything you could possibly do. I have no fear of you because there's no nothing. The worst has already happened, so there's nothing you can do to me that's worse than what's going to happen to me.
And time to die.
I dug that, and he's good. It was that guy. I like that guy as an actor. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. So except for Bosch, which is weird. But
you give it 3 out of 3.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they've yet to make an unwatchable episode of The Mandalorian or something where I could just take a dump on. It's good, solid stuff.
Dan,
just wait for the Walking Dead episodes. Apparently, Max.
Why do we have to put that out in the universe? Now it's going to it's 2020, you guys. What are you doing?
I don't know.
Back to Mando.
The Walking Dead the last 2 years has been
if I see John Barathol, I'm going to start crying. It's going to be.
Look for the one stormtrooper rubbing his head a lot. That'll be.
There you go.
I haven't gone back yet, even though I've been tempted. But the last few seasons of The Walking Dead has been a critical darling. It's been doing really well critically. Apparently, it's back to being watchable TV.
I don't care.
I don't care.
A little late for that one.
No,
They need to end
it's yeah. I'm not slogging through another 5 seasons of shit to watch 3 good episodes. I'm sorry.
Dan,
But,
what do you get?
Yeah, it's 3 out of 3. My favorite part of any of this is the ending, like, storyboard art things. Those are so cool.
Mike, Justin, either one of you guys watch this?
I don't have Disney
No.
Plus, so no.
Oh,
Correct.
message me later, Mike.
Yeah,
It's all good. I catch up with it all later because honestly, I'm just gonna level with you guys. I don't need to really follow the Mandalorian episode by episode. I haven't bought into the hype too much. I own like a Baby Yoda shirt because that was a Christmas present from my mom. And I'm just like, thank you. And she's like, do you like Baby Yoda? I'm like, not really, but thanks.
I like your shirt.
I like this shirt because you gave it to me, and I love you. But
I mean, who doesn't love a free T-shirt, right? Like, I mean,
yeah, it's a free T-shirt. So if anything, that's what I'm grateful to the Mandalorian for. Thank you for letting my mom think of a cool T-shirt to give me last Christmas.
Oh,
I hope she gives you another one this Christmas, just to
Yeah.
cycle a Baby Yoda T-shirt.
It'll just be more Baby Yoda stuff.
I think everybody on the Three Geeks podcast should send Mike individually Mandalorian shirts.
I swear to God.
this is the way.
Hey, any fans out there listening that wants to get Mike a shirt, please
Where's
send
his
it to
address at?
PO Box 124.
Yeah, we
Not
joke
really.
about it now, but just watch. You know, who knows? We might not make it out of 2020 in One Piece, and who knows? Baby Yoda merchandise will be our new like currency in the apocalypse.
Like
Yeah.
Caps and Fallout. That'd be great.
Yes. Oh, a loaf of bread or you need some gas? That'll cost you 3 Baby Yoda shirts, please.
Like Mad Max just trading Baby Yoda dolls.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna get like a
Spray
penthouse
paint your mouth
apartment.
green.
I got 2 Baby Yoda dolls, a T-shirt, and this coin.
And the joke will be on us. Mike will be the guy milking the women with all of the water because he
Why is he
has
milking
all the
women?
Baby
I'm
Yoda
sorry,
shirts.
what?
Why are you milking women, Mike?
I'm sorry, what?
Ugh.
That's the guy in Mad Max that owns the world.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Thanks. Out of anyone in the series you could have compared me to, Immortan fucking Joe.
Yes, exactly.
Bring me your women.
Weird says Mike doesn't need any more T-shirts.
Oh, he's getting
I'm
them.
all the T-shirts.
Oh, he's getting them.
You can't stop us. My pets are weird.
It's a thing now.
Oh my goodness! No, it's Baby Yoda's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, but if you seriously want to send Mike a Baby Yoda shirt, just message me on Facebook, and I will get you in contact with an address to send it to.
Oh my god! I'm gonna open up.
It's gonna be this like Amazon locker, like down
Just
down
full
the
of
street
Baby
from them,
Yoda
just full of fucking
Well, I just got 10 messages on Facebook, so it looks like Mike's getting some shirts.
And this is the last time Mike's on the
doesn't have to be a
podcast.
shirt. If you want to send Mike some art or a toy or whatever.
Dude, I gotta say that the marketing on the first season of Mandalorian, they had like no Baby Yoda stuff.
No,
But
no.
this season, like Liz was telling us that they had already gotten the Baby Yoda with the eggs like the day after the air date.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was
like,
ready to go, yeah.
oh my goodness, they're not missing one penny on this. Like, oh, you know, the toys are there. The toys are there.
But in more up Mike's alley, we got the reboot of Animaniacs. And I'm going to let Mike kick this review off with the first episode. Mike can go a little past the first episode because he's watched more of them. But Mike, kick us off.
Well, first of all, it's just a little weird that this is showing up on Hulu and not HBO Max because it is a Warner Brothers thing. So I'm a little confused as to why that, but whatever. Yeah,
They got that Mad Hulu money, bro.
Because the deal was made before HBO Max.
The acquisition. Yeah. No, it makes sense now. But yeah, it's funny so far. I think it is a fair enough continuation of the 90s version of the show. Absolutely. There's a lot of meta humor about them having to catch up on the times, certainly, you know, and they acknowledge that they've been off the air for 22 years. And so a lot of their stuff is now just about like catching up. There's a whole musical number dedicated to catching up on, current events. There's another musical number connected to the idea of reboots overall, and they acknowledge that they're a sellout. Yeah, they're a sellout reboot, which is fine. Everyone's in top form. It's fun to hear these characters again. I always love Rob Paulson and Jess Harnell and Tress MacNeille as these characters. So absolutely. It's the animation. It takes a little getting used to just because I'm used to that cell animation that was, the pinnacle of animation for the 90s during that time. So it's a little weird getting used to the Animaniacs being this polished looking. And some of the characters' designs are very much exaggerated when it comes to like the humans, but that's perfectly fine. That's well on brand. If anything, and I've watched like the first 6 episodes. I did kind of a big binge this morning. The one segment that surprisingly I feel isn't the strongest is the Pinky and the Brain stuff. It still works. It's still fine. But for some reason, I don't know. The Pinky and the Brain stuff just doesn't seem as tight or as solid as the irreverent zaniness of the Warner Brothers and Warner Sister bits.
I think that's always the risk you run, right? When you have something that's been so historically favored, right? With the fandom and things, you kind of run into a train when you try to recreate it, right? There's a magic to the old stuff, right? That you probably don't get the new.
With the Pinky and the Brain thing, one thing got me is where like the Brain, like he reveals his 22-year plan to take over the world and get everyone hooked on the internet. And Pinky's like, oh yeah, I spent this 22 years in therapy, and I found out that this is a bad relationship we have, and you're abusive. Yeah. Brain's like, shut up. And like he's like, I deserve that.
Gotcha. I deserve that. Yeah. No, that like, works.
Holy shit.
I'm saying more so as the show progresses, like the Pinky and the Brain segments. I don't know. They jump around. Like they go from the lab to medieval times, and then there's an episode dedicated to them, I guess, being Joe McCarthy in the 50s, and then they meet Edward Snowden in one episode and help him rescue like his plant from NSA. So like I get it. Like I the concepts are out there still and bizarre, and Maurice LaMarche and Rob Paulson have great chemistry together. I just, out of the setup of the show the way it is now, like I prefer the Yakko Wacko Dot stuff compared to Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jay.
I said I don't disagree. Well, I get this isn't really necessarily a negative, so don't take it this way. But I thought the opening to the episode, really like just punched you with laughter. Mild spoiler alert: it opens up to like a Jurassic Park sequence.
That was so good.
Where they bring all the Jurassic Park characters in, and Steven Spielberg is the Jack Hammond character, and he's like, "I just recreated," and then it ends up being Wacko, Yakko, and Dot. That was so funny, so over the top that I don't think the rest of the episode ever reaches that peak again. But it doesn't take away from the show, because I thought the show was really, really strong. It's funny. It's everything I remembered about Animaniacs. But that opening sequence is something special. I can't wait to revisit that opening. I'm not going to air it on here. I don't feel like fighting the man today. But I just want to say, check it out, because that first 5 minutes really packs a punch.
Hey, we're gonna have an
episode. Katie says you should have edibles on hand for when you watch Animaniacs now. So
I feel like you should just have edibles on hand.
At all times. So.
You know what this needs? An edible.
I will say, as I got into some more episodes, like I do love the meta humor a lot more. So now, like they acknowledge like, hey, what happened to a lot of our supporting cast, like the Good Feathers or the cat and dog singing duo and stuff, which I personally really like. Yeah, and then it leads into a really dark plot for the bit of like what happened to those characters, and a reveal I was not expecting, and when it happened I'm like, holy shit. Like I was actually kind of out loud laughing just because I'm like, I remember that. Awesome. So it is.
So I gotta check that out, because I was wondering, like, is Buttons gonna show up? Like there's a lot there's a lot of good characters in Animaniacs, so like that sucks if we don't get to see them. But,
well, I mean they so far it's Yakko Wacko and Dot and Pinky and the Brain, and they're the bulk of the shows thus far. Mm-hmm. Whether or not they bring those characters into their own featured segments again. Who knows? But they do get one segment to shine. It's like, what happened to all these characters? And it gets out there. Like, it gets
All right,
dark.
I'm looking forward to that. Because I love Buttons. He was one of my favorites. I mean, but it's basically just a rehash of an old Looney Tunes cartoon, like with the big dog and the small kitten.
Yeah,
or like Baby's Day Out. It's basically just that over and over again. So I understand like it's not being a more popular segment. They're just like, we're not paying for that.
Believe me, they lean into like, well, this so and so wasn't really a popular character and everything. They talk about it.
Chicken Boo. I need some Chicken Boo in my life, so I'm hoping for that.
I did like the.
I'll stop talking.
I did like the catching up song because they built it into the song that the episode is written 2 years before it actually shows up. So, but it's funny because even in that song, they have people wearing masks in their house. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's like a COVID thing without them knowing that COVID was a thing. I thought,
well, this is the drawback of not the drawback of the show, but something definitely that you'll notice is they'll say like, we're writing these jokes in 2018. We have no idea what 2020 when we finally broadcast this is going to be like. They do have an election 2020 bit where it's like Yakko straight up says, hey, our two primary parties aren't fun anymore. Let's talk about these wacky third party candidates. So start making up third party candidates.
I love that.
But yeah, there's a Trump joke there's a Trump joke in the first episode, but definitely in the second episode he's used a lot more. And to say that's fine. That's great. It's awesome how they utilize. It's what they did back in the 90s. They made fun of politicians in the 90s.
They sure did.
So.
Yeah, they sure did.
Yep.
There is one though. There's a Wayne LaPierre bit, and yes, it goes places.
But I mean, like I like that. But at least you feel like they've gotten Animaniacs. It's not like a straight up cash out where they're like, okay, we threw Animaniacs on here.
Right.
You bought it. So there you go.
They're totally aware of it. Yeah.
So yeah, I do like that. It's a lot of fun. So at least I only watched the first episode, but I'm having fun. So.
3 out of 3 geeks easily for me.
Yeah, that's a 3 for me.
I am just throwing that 3 out of 3 everywhere today.
Yeah,
you're really happy about it. I mean, that's great. You're in a good mood. This is great. Maybe a rub off on Max.
Justin, I'm always
everything is great,
except for when I'm not. But I'm hardly ever in a bad mood.
Well,
at least not around people. I just stay to myself when I'm in a bad mood. But anyway, DC canceled Black Lightning, which is just another cancellation because Supergirl was canceled earlier this year. Then Black Lightning, The Flash is rumored to get canceled this year. I think
it goes back to Max's stabbing comments in our live episode like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Well, shows like Doom
just run around stabbing people. You're gonna get canceled.
Who did I say I was gonna stab?
No, you weren't stabbing. You were saying Black Lightning stabbing people on their birthday, right? If I remember right.
The joke was John was like, Black Lightning actor Cress Williams turns however old today, and also Kelsey Grammer's daughter got stabbed, and we were like, where's the break in that? And Jason needed catching up, and Max is like, okay, here's what happened. Black Lightning stabbed Kelsey Grammer's daughter.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
And now he's canceled.
Now everybody's canceled.
Yeah, and no wonder you got canceled. Sure.
Be careful, Frasier. They're coming.
I think DC is getting praise from the critics for shows like Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn and the stuff that they've been doing on HBO Max. That they are going to shift more towards that. And
they're like, it's weird because like they're airing Swamp Thing now, or are they?
Swamp Thing is airing on. But I think that's a show they really want to push.
Yeah, no, but like, I'm just saying, it's so awkward. It's like they have all these, like the Flash and Arrow and all this stuff, and then like they play one episode of Swamp Thing and then pull it, and then
exactly.
They're canceling everything and they bring Swamp Thing back. Like
they didn't know what to do with the DC Universe app. That was the thing. That they had no like organized way of employing their DC Universe app at the time. That they're just like, oh shit, everything's just going to move to HBO Max now. Well, we might as well keep the DC Universe app for comics, which fine, but other than that, there was really no sense or logic to it.
what I see with them doing Swamp Thing again or putting it on the CW is that somebody in Warner Brothers believes in the show. So they're trying to see if they throw it on the air, if more people will jump on board so they can continue it possibly. Because
Rest in peace, Constantine.
It got a lot of good
really.
We didn't talk about Keanu Reeves possibly coming back as Constantine.
Yeah, you'll get your
I would love
Constantine.
that.
Because that's the Constantine you want back, right? Is the Keanu Reeves one.
You can still have that Constantine that was on the show because Legends of Tomorrow apparently is just not going to die. So,
well, we'll see. I think the CW shows to me, and this is my thought personally, is I think, with the exception of I thought Batwoman was something a little bit different, but they're all just like watching weekly comic books. There was nothing that would pull me back into a show. Like, I liked the Flash episodes I saw. I liked the Arrow episodes I saw. But they were all just felt like just background TV. I think Batwoman is the only show I watched a whole season of.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and I like Supergirl too, but I just never going back to it.
Sorry.
Nah, Supergirl I never gave the time of day. Arrow I liked the first season of, but then it turned into like this weird cheap Batman knockoff with Lost flavor of Lost in it because they keep on going back to this island. But so I couldn't watch that. Flash was good for the first couple of seasons, but like it got just too teenage drama-y and too soap opera-y for me.
That's what I like Batwoman for, is it didn't have like any of that.
Not yet.
She's gone now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they're good for like 1 or 2 seasons, and then they don't know what to do.
I think that's also part of spreading the budget around because they're like, hey, we can spin off. Like Black Lightning is canceled, but they're making a spin-off show about one of his villains. So
of course,
it's like
makes perfect sense.
And like Supergirl is done, but Superman and Lois is coming out. So it's just like they keep spinning off stuff that I feel it really loosens the quality of the
it should all be on one show, right? Just make that Superman on one show.
Yeah. They're bringing back Lois and Clark?
Yeah. I got a countdown on my phone. I can't wait to watch it. I like the guy who plays Superman's interpretation in this.
Dean Cain?
No,
but I still figure out whose baby that was at the end.
Out yourself.
I mean, they're bringing Michael Keaton back. I want justice for Dean Cain. Like Brandon Routh got to come back.
Justice for Dean Cain.
Nah,
Dean Cain is my
dude.
Superman.
Fuck Dean Cain.
Have you watched sci-fi movies for the last 10 years? I mean, there's Dean Cain.
Dean Cain is all over
my
those.
Superman.
No, dude, he's fine. Let him keep making his weird pet hedgehog movies or whatever.
One of the most real moments in my life was before I started doing the cons with Max. I think the year before, I went to a Comic-Con, Wizard World, and they had Dean Cain was there. They had a tattoo booth. He was sitting down in the tattoo chair getting a Superman tattoo.
Because of course he is.
The last thing I saw Dean Cain in, and I didn't actually watch it, but my mom was watching a Hallmark movie.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Dean Cain. I was like, is that fucking Dean Cain?
Yes, he plays he plays a broadcasting person who goes up against the female broadcaster, and they used to date, but they don't date anymore, and now they have to team up on a super broadcast, and then they fall. I love that one.
Yeah, I bet. God, those movies are terrible.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I saw Dean Cain in. I'll always have a special place in my heart, even though I know Lois and Clark is actually not very good.
No.
But
I absolutely have a place in my heart for Lois and Clark. Yeah, that's a thing. But now I'm just like, I don't need to see more Dean Cain. I'm good.
I like to see Dean Cain getting work. I don't necessarily like to watch his work.
Yeah, I like to see Dean Cain in stupid sci-fi movies Mega Octopus Eats New York or something. It's fine.
That's more Dean Cain speed. I get it.
Yeah, it's either Dean Cain or Casper Van Dien. It's one of them.
I'll take Casper Van Dien over.
I would take Dean Cain over Casper Van Dien.
I'd take Johnny Rico over.
Oh man, Starship Troopers. Yeah, I wish it would have I read the book years.
At least he's pretending. At least he's pretending to play a fascist. He's not an actual fascist.
That's true.
In Starship Troopers.
Well, if you're really lucky,
I want them to make Starship Troopers the book. That would be.
That'd be nice.
Movie. like the movie's good for what for what it does, for the propaganda and all that good stuff. And do you want to know more? But that's
by the time you get to the power armor in the sequels, the sequels all suck. So yeah.
Yeah, don't they have Jesus in there or something like that?
Yes. Yeah. The part 3 is like, I guess the ending gets stopped by the second coming or something. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But it's not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of that. I think it's like Dune. If they make an actual Dune movie, then it could be really sweet. But I feel like technology is to the point where we can do it, and we should.
After doing a quick Google search on Dean Cain to catch up myself with where Mike's at, I also do not think Dean Cain needs any more work.
Why is it crazy? I just know him from the Superman show.
Yeah, dude.
Current
day Dean Cain isn't so good.
Oh, all right. Well, then fuck that guy. I don't know.
Okay. We'll reading Mike over the years. I knew
Mendy.
there was something else that Mike wasn't telling us, so I Googled it and did.
I didn't want to get into it. I was just going to leave it at fuck Dean Cain. But...
Yeah, that's fine. I did not know I didn't know he turned rogue. That's cool.
Yeah, Fox.
However, now
and then I'm gonna go ahead and pull back on my statements about Dean.
All I know from it is Superman, so it's all good.
We will be back right after these words.
How young are you?
There's no sound, so I'll provide commentary over this, I guess.
Oh, I gotta fix the sound. Hold on.
I was just saying, like, there's nothing going on. You just hear Jason and Mike talking.
I mean, I can just do my dialogue over myself. It's okay.
There was a little bit that did go on towards the episode that I was invested in, but again, it ties in wholly to the fact that I know the history of certain characters before the show. So for, again, anyone who's just coming into this miniseries fresh, probably wouldn't get some emotional connections between characters as much as I picked up on. And I guess, can we talk about kind of the ending of it a little?
Go for it.
Where Molly Walker essentially shoots herself for the greater good, and Noah Bennett has a kind of mini breakdown. I actually did like that moment, and it made sense given the past history with the characters. Given that they have worked together before, and that she was the character at least was from the original first season and so forth, and they interacted then and throughout the series off and on. So it would understandably be upsetting to see someone that you had kind of that connection with for a long time kill themselves. So I dug that kind of tying into the history of the characters. I dug the Siler reference a little bit, but it just opens up another question, like, where are the interesting characters on the show that used to be there? Yeah, I'll agree with you. Some stuff got a little bit better, I guess. I will say I am more interested in what Zachary Levi's character is going to do. And hopefully his wife stays gone for the rest of the miniseries, because I hate that character. Like, it's just too, I don't know. It's not convincing enough that she's vengeful and in mourning. She just seems overly hateful. So I hope she stays gone, and I hope we can explore a little bit more of his dynamic with his abilities without that. And were the Japanese people? Yeah, that's a thing that happened. Cosplay is happening because they got to reference current stuff like cosplay. That lady apparently wants worldwide genocide, so That seems like a very reasonable goal. And I love how her daughter instantly flip-flops. Kind of figured her daughter would be a little bit more non-trusting of her mother if this is their very tense relationship to begin with. But fine, whatever. It's heroes. Oh, that blonde Eskimo made a tree live, so that's cool. And she's got a invisible Pakistani butterflies too, a whole cloud of them. And she's apparently, here's the whole deal. It's like, now we got our save the cheerleader, save the world thing. It was like, forget the past, save the future or something. And I will say, at least it looks like there's some idea of what's going to happen, that there is this worldwide Armageddon.
Hello.
Hello, Jason, you're muted.
You're muted, Jason.
We can't hear you at all.
I
Max
said,
was
we're
giggling.
back. Our guest Anthony has arrived, and listening to us talk positively about Heroes Reborn is making me nauseous.
How you guys doing today?
Hello,
Just
hello,
as-
welcome.
Hello.
What's up, Anthony? How you doing?
Doing wonderful. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great, man. Tell us about the freaking awesome podcast.
Yeah. So basically, we are a comedy-based podcast, and we do celebrity interviews. So we have a lot of people from pretty much all over the place, be it the music industry or film industry, and sometimes even authors. And then we basically go through some humorous articles from around the world, stuff that you just can't believe actually is real. And we do a little fact checking, make sure this is real news or fake news, and then we kind of bring it up and we just sit down and rip the news apart and have a little bit of opinions about it, and we get the celebrities kind of weigh in on it. And I think that's one of the things that our listeners and viewers really enjoy, is seeing that celebrities are just regular people too, right? And they can sit back and laugh and have a good time about things, and not stress too much about worry about being on, I guess, the regular camera in front of the regular scene, because we're not doctoring anything or making them feel bad about what they say. So it's just like a fun time, and then we kind of talk about the celebrity, we talk about what they do, and give them a chance to kind of pitch things. So it's just like a fun little comedy show. It's not about anything in particular. We don't really get all political, but I think over what's happened in the last little bit, it happens from time to time.
It's really hard not to, because a lot of the geek news connects with everything.
It's true.
Oh, I got Anthony. I just have to tell you right now. Your hair is mesmerizing me, because it's waving in the green screen, and I
It's like,
I don't know what's happening to anyone else, but I'm tantalized by it.
I think it makes me feel like it's all growing back at some point. So it's my mutant power, just to grow hair.
I'm friends with you on Facebook, and I don't know if you want to talk about it or can talk about it, but you recently talked to somebody who's pretty big in the film industry.
Yes, we did make. I did make mention that I did speak with someone. They have a new movie coming out. I'm not really kind of formally announcing it for the show yet, because we still have some hoops to jump through. I did get put through to their manager, so I'm just kind of waiting. And I don't want to promise anything to people yet, but this is it would have been a great thing to ask me a little bit later, because I actually have a really funny story about this person that we've actually met before. And I can't really go into it too much, of course, because I don't really want to announce who it is yet. So, but it is a really, really funny story. So, sometimes you meet celebrities in the weirdest places. Let's just put it that way.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I was curious, have there been celebrities that you have been like, oh, we got to have you back for this because they were just that entertaining, or you were just able to converse so easily for them? Like, are there MVP celebrities that you've had?
Always. Yes, always. We're actually really surprised the amount of celebrities that just contact us and want to come back, which is always, I guess it's a beautifuful thing. It means you've done the show right. And but I mean, we've got a few. Biff Naked, who was is a very famous, Juno Award-winning singer. It was absolutely wonderful human being. Her energy was just fantastic. Could not say a mean thing about anybody. So always having that kind of positivity in the studio and with our guests was always wonderful. We do actually have a reoccurring stuntman from the film industry, Jeff Scavell, who of course does work on the Titans and the Boys, and he is just an absolutely hilarious person. So we love having him on the show. I would love to have Robert Franzese back on the show, who of course plays the real life Peter Griffin. I don't know if you've caught his YouTube channel, but that man is he's actually a really hilarious comedian, and a lot of the people don't realize because he's always in character for much of his screen time. But as a comedian, he is just so funny off the cuff. Like he could see something in the background of your film and just be able to start making a joke about it, and then he's just a wonderful human being.
Yeah, he's one of the ones I want to book for next year. I have him on a list because he was on the Canned Air podcast too. Yeah, he's super funny guy.
He's a wonderful person. Just and even just his content, even if you just watch him playing video games, because he's got a Twitch channel, it's just super fun. It's super fun watching him. Other than that, we've had so many celebrities. Some of them are absolutely hilarious. Some of them not as funny, but had some amazing information to pass along. So, we had an amazing conversation with, Leland Sklar, who of course is the bass player for, Phil Collins. I think actually you guys may have had him on at some point, or if you haven't, you should. He's got so many amazing stories about working with famous bands from all over the world. And it's kind of like I look at bass players a lot of the time as being like the stunt man of the music industry, right? Because you can't hold a good beat without the bass player, and at the same time, you don't ever see them really that much when they're on. When there's always the lead singer, you'll get a pan past the bass player, so they're kind of like the hidden people. So he's a really fantastic person, and
something I've learned over the years is, even if you may not have heard of somebody's movies, if you get them on your podcast, you could find out so many fascinating things. For instance, we had Deborah Lamb on. I hadn't seen very many of her movies, and she had one of the best John Candy stories from when she met him filming Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah. And she even went to the other room to get a calendar that him and Steve Martin signed for her to show Justin and I. And
that's awesome.
I mean, Jason was so impressed by this calendar. Like he's told everybody that she has this calendar. He's like, it was signed by Steve Martin. I can't believe it.
I
haven't even actually seen it in real life.
Well, the context is I am a huge John Candy fan. So her being able to talk to us, and Justin and I, we talked to her for about an hour, not just about that, just about her life and film, and it's absolutely fascinating. And anybody out there that is listening or watching that just looks for specific names when they download a podcast for an interview, I would listen to the people you haven't heard of, because they tend to have some of the most fascinating stories.
Yeah. And it's wonderful. I mean, we've had Deborah Lamb on the show as well. Love her to death. She's such a wonderful person, and you're right, with a lot of hilarious things to say. And I can't wait to have her back again on the show as well. And it's true. You see a lot of actors and actresses in films that are maybe less have heard of, and especially when you're looking at the horror genre, like Deborah is very popular in. And there are so many horror movies out there that range from cult classics to, that slasher flick that they've kind of made it very grotesque nowadays. And you don't realize that a lot of the cult classics, a lot of the older ones that may not have been, like, people would have called it like a B-rated film, are actually essentially better than those AAA films, because it's got a lot of humor and it's got a lot of buried interesting facts that they kind of throw these little Easter eggs out that you don't find as so much on the big name movies nowadays. So they really tip their hand to the fans, where a lot of the big names don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, to go back to Deborah, because she's got the best examples, but I've talked to actors who have like the biggest roles in films, so like the stars. Yep. And then you talk to somebody like Deborah, who had just a small part in RoboCop.
Yep.
And she's got just long, fascinating stories about working on RoboCop.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you never know where the fascinating conversation is going to come from. But since we hooked up with Steve, I've met so many people that are just so much fun to talk to.
Oh, it's true. Just amazing stories out there. And you're right. People who are maybe even just background scenery, or their small parts in films, have some of the best stories, right? Because they're kind of behind the sets. They're watching the crazy things happen. A lot of the times, especially when they hit major films, they're like, "Wow, I'm going to be in this major film." And they're just taking it all in, and it's great because sometimes they'll see things that are absolutely hilarious that nobody else saw because of the fact that they're taking it all in, right?
Or you'll find something that you want to see. Like when Deborah and I were talking, she was in a short film called Mother, which is about Norman Bates and his mother, and it came out just a few years ago. And I can't wait to check out that.
Yeah, it's going to look really cool. Actually, we were talking about that at one point too, and looks really fun. Just to speak of RoboCop and a little 6 degrees of separation, I guess my cousin actually he was a stuntman. He's had kids now, so I think he's kind of retired from the stunt business. But he was the stunt double for the main character, Alex Murphy, in the new RoboCop. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Joel Kinnaman. Yeah.
Nice. So it was really fun.
He had the opposite effect. So if I had kids, I would jump more into stunt work.
Right. Yeah.
Hurt me, please.
Yeah, especially with COVID going on, right? I mean, luckily schools are still open here now, but I tell you, if it goes back to homeschooling, I might want to join the stunt industry. So.
Hey, I'm back to working 12 hours a day, and I'm going to be a part-time teacher on Monday. So
yeah, I've been through there. It's not easy to do your own thing and work a full-time job and be a teacher. And let me tell you, you're not getting paid that teacher salary. So
it's even fun when you have to answer a call for work and you've got the teachers in the background, like teaching the kids.
Yeah.
You're like,
don't mind that.
Unless you need to learn some math and maybe pay more attention.
Did you turn it off and turn it back on again?
Yeah, exactly. So
have you become friends with any of the people you've interviewed?
Oh yeah, I mean, one thing about doing the show, especially for us, because we're very relaxed, much like you guys, it's kind of like a sitting around in conversation with friends as opposed to the usual interview. And I think a lot of the times they just end up feeling so relaxed. It's quite easy just to be able to drop them a message. We always want them to be to stay in touch, and we try to follow them on Facebook, and they follow us. So it's wonderful because we post things and announce things, and they're instantly right in there and telling us how awesome it is or how proud they are, and vice versa. So it's a really nice thing. Actually, even Deborah just kind of called me up randomly the other day, which was really nice, just to be able to sit back and have a chat with her. And unfortunately, we had another show going on with it was about 15 minutes of her call. So it always feels weird when you get a moment to talk with a celebrity off screen and off camera, and then you have to let them go, right? You're just like, it was really super comfortable and relaxed. So it's hard.
Yeah. The other day, I've become friends with Larry Hankin. We talk and text back and forth, but we were talking on the phone, and I'm like, Larry, I gotta go. I gotta go record another interview with somebody else. Yeah. And yeah, you do. You feel weird about disconnecting the call.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's because I think you're still building kind of a relationship with them as opposed to your regular friends who just know like you got to go on a dime, right? And they know they're in the industry and they realize that sometimes you got to cut things short, but it doesn't change the fact that you feel how you feel, right?
Yeah, it's funny because Anthony messaged me and says, "Do we have a topic for Sunday?" I'm like, "Yeah, we don't really work that way."
Good.
No.
Make sure
wherever the wind takes us.
Quick top 5 or something.
We all, when we do our podcast, we like to have the conversation as natural as possible. So we keep the topics from each other as much as possible. Because when we drop the topic into our group chat, we have that whole conversation in the chat. So then when Sunday rolls around, we don't want to talk about it anymore.
It's done now.
As I was saying before, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So
the best thing we do is I'll say, "Hey guys, watch Animaniacs before Sunday, or watch the Star Wars Holiday Special before Sunday."
Now, have you guys? You guys obviously have heard that Animaniacs has been rebooted.
We watched the first one.
Have you seen it?
How was it? I loved the originals. I haven't had a chance to see the new one.
Dude,
I think you'll like it. You should definitely check it out.
The opening sequence, I said this in the first hour, but the opening sequence is one of the best opening sequences of the whole year.
Oh, that's excellent. That's
It's
good.
great.
Good. Yeah.
Not
So
this year, that's so great.
Yeah, not that this year has been amazing, but
it's really funny. I always try to bring my kids back into the cartoons and stuff that I grew up on, right? I feel like the world is changed, especially not to make myself sound really old, but I've kind of lived through that whole technological change. Like my first computer was a Commodore 64, and people still their mouths drop when you said, "Oh yeah, data used to be run off an audio cassette," and that blew people's mind. And I grew up on such amazing cartoons, and I try to get my kids into it. But it's funny because I sit back and watch some of the old ones, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of see why they don't do that nowadays. Maybe a little, over the top, or like there's so much violence or killing. And I'm thinking, oh man, I watched this when I was like 6. I wouldn't want my kids watching this now.
yeah, Rambo had a cartoon.
Exactly. So it's hard. It's hard to balance. I watch a lot of the cartoons nowadays with my kids because I'm trying to be an actively involved parent, make sure they're watching something appropriate. And I feel like my brain is getting smaller sometimes when I watch these CG things that I'm just like, what, just give me a good old fashioned hand drawn, cell shaded films of layers. And I don't care if you update it, but make it look like a cartoon.
Have there been outliers that like you're watching something with your kids and you're like, okay, I can get into this a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this one, but there's for a completely legitimate reason. But both my girls grew up watching My Little Pony. And like I remember seeing like the 80s version that was nothing but like cotton candy and fluff and just complete mindless what I would have called just girl stuff back then. But the new versions have great lessons for kids to learn. I love the fact that each one of the main characters is kind of like a different personality from like a child and their friends, or they're together. They actually make what a perfect child should be, like adventurous and caring and partying and helpful and all these just different things that I think is a great lesson for children, but without going to the fact that like you should be, in the kitchen making pies kind of thing. Like they're really getting young women to embrace their confidence and stuff. And I love that. I really, as a father, I love that. So, but don't call me a brony.
Oh no, that's completely.
You're not rocking Twilight Sparkle at the convention?
No.
Dude, I remember I used to work at I used to own a video game store with my ex, and Max still works there. And we had a huge run on My Little Pony stuff. And my business partner at the time was like, we're sold out of all of My Little Pony stuff. I wonder what's going on. I'm like, the Brony convention is literally around the corner right now.
Yeah. We don't, I don't think we have a Brony convention up here in the Great White North. So it's at least not yet.
Hey,
Maybe they are. Maybe I'm just
that
not
is an open market for you to slip right in.
Right. Yeah, no, it would be really tough. My youngest, of course, would still be in there, so I'd only have a couple years to make myself a solid player in that type of world without actually being actively involved in it. And then even then, my kids are going to grow up and look back and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" So,
right.
Can you believe Dad made that whole convention, and I didn't even like My Little Pony.
Yeah. It's actually really funny with kids. They have a tendency to really get the parents in on things that you would have never imagined. Like I'm one of those people that a PC gamer, PS4. Sure, I like gaming from time to time. My kids got me into playing games on my phone. And there's a Dragons game that I play. I can't even really remember what it's called because I just fire it up and check it every day. But I'm like hooked into this game, and my kids don't even play it anymore. And now I'm pissed because I'm stuck with this game that I can't seem to let go. And at the same time, my kids are just like, "Oh yeah, no, we're done with that now."
They can't even placate you and be like, "Look, Daddy's having some trouble. I need to troubleshoot this part. Can you help me out?"
No, and that's really funny because my eldest knows like all the combinations that are more powerful than the other, and I just kind of want them to be like, "Well, can you play the game?" And every once in a while, actually, she takes my phone and will organize things for me so that they're more effective. And then it completely throws me because I'm just like, "Why is this person next to this this person. She's like, oh, that's so you know that this person can battle this person and that one would win. And I'm like, well, how the hell would I know that? There's nothing that's like a big circle around saying this is your winning team, you know. So, yeah.
It's really interesting, like just how cyclical the fads are, especially when it comes to say something online or digital like games and stuff. Because for a long time it was World of Warcraft, and then we go a couple years and it's like Pokemon Go was the hot thing for a couple years back. Max
I'm still playing that.
You're still wandering traffic for that.
Yeah, I wander into traffic for that one. Find a body.
I Pokemon Go responsibly. Thank you very much.
And now I think it's the what is it? Among Us is like the newest.
Yes.
That's the one.
I've got it on my phone. I haven't played it yet. But everybody, even like other adults and parents that I know are into it, playing with their kids. So I probably should get on.
Among Us is the most frustrating game because you're either a crew person or the imposter. You never get to be the imposter, and then when you finally get to be the imposter, they call you out in like the first 3 seconds. You're like, how am I so obviously the imposter? Like,
so what am I doing wrong here?
Yeah, like it's. But then you don't get any practice because you never get to be. I hate that game.
Yeah.
So Among Us, aka the friendship ruiner.
Yes.
Yeah, the family ruiner in some cases, I think.
You tired of fighting over politics? Get Among Us.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, I feel like if I got into that and I kept getting ousted, eventually I would just jettison one of my children from the house. You know, and be like, you know what it's like in real life. Yeah, just 300 them out the door.
Yep, no, it's that game is so frustrating. It is. I don't know how people do it. I couldn't play with my family. Like, there's no way I could play with my family and still like have Thanksgiving dinner with them.
Right.
I can see your mom getting really into it.
Yeah, I mean, my mom is murderous. Like, that is true. She would love to be the imposter. Luckily, we only let her be the imposter like one time out of 100.
Yeah. You remember back in the day when they had like different games where you kind of rated each other, and that was a family killer, right? Like, I don't know if it was like Coin Master or something like that, where you know, eventually when they were off doing something and you knew they were out, I was like, this is a perfect time to attack them. And then they come running into the house and be like, what the hell are you doing?
Or even like just gang up stuff, like even like something as basic as apples to oranges, where it's like, hey, guess what? This beats that. Every time I side with this person or something like this. Yeah.
I get a little impartial, especially when it comes to board games. I've actually created a board game myself, and it kind of went around the world. And it was really funny because a lot of the times I used to have open betas and have tons of people. I had like almost a year of beta testing this game. And people would come up to me afterwards and be like, well, what about this? Or what about this? And they're like, oh God, they want you to take sides on this decision, you know? and you're just like, oh, you got to give me the whole play. Like, how did this happen? I'd be like, no, that card's totally left to interpretation. You just do what you want and we'll see how it plays out. So yeah, it was always weird, but I'm a big board game fan, so I know what the rules. I have a very I got a new version of a very old game called Dungeons, and it was the first Dungeons and Dragons board game ever created. It's a very, very old style, but someone said, hey, this is really cool, we're going to bring it back. And I remember being a kid and really loving this game, and I was just like, I gotta find it. I gotta find a version of it. And I did. And as I'm reading through the rules, there's a really large plot hole that if it doesn't state that if you lost all your money and something kills you, what happens? Because you used to always like, oh, you just give them back one of your weapons or your money, and you just go back to the beginning. But the game was one of those things that I was playing with one of my kids, and they didn't have anything, and they died. And I'm like, well, where do you go? You know? So I actually called up the manufacturer, because I'm that guy, right? I'm just like, I need to know. I need to have a definitive answer on this. And the manufacturer pushed me over to their FAQ, which doesn't answer the thing, you know? And I got so frustrated eventually in this secular thing that I just like, I got to pen out and click, this is going to be the new rule, you know? So.
Yep. Oh, the old house rules. That's
yeah, when you're in my house.
Yeah. That's where I feel like Steve Jackson was super smart with his Munchkin games, because in the end, he states, I think it's like one of the last rules, that when in doubt, the owner of the game, or the house owner, makes the call. So it's great, because if you're playing, you run up and be like, yo, Dad, which one is this? You know, like. That's this call. Now get out of the house. Yeah.
So what are the like movies and TV shows you geek out about?
Oh man, it's really weird. I used to watch so many movies and so many shows, and obviously as life gets a little bit busier, and between my podcast and kids and stuff, I don't get to do as much. But I'm a huge fan of Preacher. I read the original graphic novels when they came out, so I love the fact that Seth Rogen picked that show up and started making it. I think they've done a great job. It's different from the graphic novels, but it's good.
Very much.
I used to watch Walking Dead, and I had a problem in second season. I stuck around for a little bit. I eventually, I think I've gotten out when I read the graphic novels and they they kill off. I guess it's where Negan makes his first kill. I don't know who they do it in the show because I refused to watch it. But when I got there, and I don't want to spoil it, but you know who I'm talking about. I closed the book up and I was like, nah, I'm out. I like this character. You can't kill everybody off, but apparently in this series you can. So
we were just talking about The Walking Dead in the first hour, and
that's pretty much where I stopped reading the Walking Dead comic book. Also,
yeah,
I was like, all the bad guys are just like a different, a worse version of the same guy.
Yes,
and like and then the Negan does his thing, and I was like, okay, you know what? I don't even care.
Yep, I'm done. Yeah.
The Walking Dead lost me the show about a few years prior to Negan's arrival, but I still watched it because people in the house watched it. And then when Negan got there, I really liked the guy who plays Negan.
Yes.
And so I stuck around a little bit longer, but it started to wear its welcome. But I've heard since Rick left that the show has gotten astronomically better again, which kind of makes me want to go back, but I don't want to watch the seasons that were crappy leading into where it's supposed to be good, because I want to watch the guy who played Negan in something good. And I've heard like the last few seasons have been good, but I feel it because like I did the same thing with Heroes, which when Heroes Reborn came back, I was like, I'm one of the few guys that thought the season 4 of Heroes was all right. I'm ready to do this. And we were watching our interview during the break and our review, and we were so positive and young. And then like the episode after that happens, and that was the positive one was the last one we did because I was so furious with how they did that show and never went back. Because that is the epitome of taking characters that you like and just completely crapping all over them. Because it was the characters of Heroes that I was able to get through the crap of 2 and the crap of 3 is because I liked the characters that much that I could sit through the crappy plots. And then when 4 came around, they copied the Magneto Genosha Island thing. Yeah. I'm like, all right, they're back to copying the X-Men. This is where they shine. Back in, and then that was so bad. That's why I'm skeptical to go back and watch the last few seasons of of Walking Dead, even though I think I should because it'd be good background while I'm working.
I mean,
it'd be nice to kind of finish it off. I'd love to know where they've gone with it. I know what you mean about Heroes. I watched the originals. I never watched the Reborn ones because I just felt like, first of all, the way they ended it, I was pissed. And I was just like, okay, but that's fine because you know what? The whole season, all the seasons were absolutely fantastic. I super enjoyed it. I just didn't like the final punch in the mouth at the end, but I'm the same guy who also watched Lost after it had finished. So but I didn't watch a single thing. All I knew was that people were pissed at how it ended. And I binge watched all 7 seasons back to back over the course of a month. And then when it happened and I got to the ending, I raged out because I knew people were pissed. And I was just like, I can't be all that bad. But then when they didn't explain anything, I was so pissed.
Well, Lost is my favorite show. I love that show. And the finale for me was I got satisfaction out of the finale because the writers had said from like season 3, like you said, you didn't hear any of the talk about it, but the show was always about the characters. Yes. Everything else was, they weren't planning on wrapping up the island storyline because mysteries in life remain mysteries is what they're. So the fact that I knew it was about the characters and the characters were my favorite part of that show, I liked the way they wrapped up the characters at the end.
I've just got a fundamental problem with Lost where They leave the island. They come back to the island. They leave the island again. They come back. They're not lost. You're going on vacation. That's something else entirely. You
That's
can't
right.
call it so lost.
They're lost in a different manner.
Yeah, well, they're lost in the mind, I think, at that point.
But let me ask you this, because a lot of people I talk to about the finale, they think they were dead the whole time. That is not your view, right?
It's not my view,
Okay.
but
I do want to hear your take on it because I'm curious.
Cross over the plane in the water with all the skeletons picked clean kind of means they really did. They all went down on the plane, and this was just their existentialism, this trip that they had to go through to find themselves before they could pass on is, I think, in the end where they were going with it. And that's why the end was so religious based, right? Because their souls had to move on. And so I can see why everybody thought that. I just felt personally, as I was watching it, it probably wasn't until maybe the third season that everybody ended up dying. I feel like when what was it like that? Because there was a big nuclear bomb or something that was going to go off, right?
That was in 5, yeah.
Was it 5? Okay, I said
into 5.
Yeah, I was like, maybe it just went off, and that's when everybody really died. So I don't know. I was very torn on that show. My biggest beef out of all of it, though, was the fact that they didn't, even though they explained the black smoke, they didn't explain why it made that tinkety tinkety sound, like it was some type of island trap. And because I was thinking, they're going to reveal that it was some weird mechanical device or something. Nope, nothing.
I always like to hear takes because, like I said, I really like the show. I thought Lost, whether you like the plot, has some of the best acting on television, hands down, in my opinion. Michael Emerson is one of the best actors to ever grace our television screens.
Yes. Yeah, it was a really well done show. Like, I felt like the special effects were fantastic. You're right, the acting was great. I don't think anybody didn't look like they belonged in those scenes. It's just unfortunate how they did it. I understand really the end of it completely held on the fact of writer strikes, right? Like, that's what pooched it. And
I think that's where we differ, because I think that's when the show got better. Seasons 2 and 3. Season 3 was it was definitely a show that had been stretched, because they said they had planned for 4 seasons, but then seasons 2 and 3 they wanted them to prolong it, make it last longer, which is why there's a lot of filler episodes. We get to find out the mystery of why Jack got tattoos, which is one of the worst episodes in television history of anything.
Yeah.
But I thought when they had the direct ending, I thought that's when the show started to pick up, when they lowered the episodes and so forth. But no, my dad had a vacation from work, and he was so excited he was going to get all of this housework done. And I had stopped by. I was hanging out there for whatever reason. I don't remember. But I was watching Lost. My dad comes in and goes, "How much longer until the stupid show is over?" It was the first episode. And I'm like, about 15 minutes. And then the episode ends. And he goes, "Let's watch another one." The episode ends, and he's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going home." He's like, "Are you going to leave those discs here?" I'm like, "Yeah." The end of the week, 0 housework got done. My dad finished Lost. My mom was pissed. He's just like, "The episodes don't end," because it was his first experience with serialized television.
Yes.
He's like, "They don't end. You got to keep going if you want to find out what happens next." He's like, "It doesn't end." And then when they got to the time travel, he's like, "Ugh,
time travel sucks."
He's like, "This is stupid. I'm out." So I left. I took my discs. I left season 5 because I knew better. And I called my mom later. I'm like, "So Dad's done with Lost?" She's like, "Are you kidding me? He's about to start season 6. I'm like, "I thought he was done."
I was watching Game of Thrones. I just restarted Game of Thrones, and I was staying over at my parents' house, and they came home, and I was like, "Oh, let me turn this off, because I don't think you'll like it." They're very religious, and then they don't like a lot of like sexy things and cursing and stuff like that. So I'm like, this is not for you. But then my mom's like, "Oh, no, leave it on." And she sits down, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then like 4 seasons later, she's like, "You got the next season, or like you have some problems."
Nothing worse than sitting down and watching television that has sex scenes. in front of your parents.
Yeah,
like this is the most awkward thing ever.
I just like trying to busy myself with something else. So like that'll be the snack time, go get the chips, because I've already seen it, so like I can miss it. It's fine.
That's right.
I have learned with binging that people tend to like shows better. Like a lot of the people that I've met that watched Lost on Netflix, they like the series a lot better than the ones who watched it week to week. I'm trying to think of another example. The Walking Dead is a show that I liked as I was binging it, and then once I got caught up and got to the episode to episode, I'm like, ugh.
Yes.
There's an hour of walking. Now I got to wait another week to find out where they get to, so we can move on with our lives.
Walking and talking in the forest.
And I feel that's part of it too, is because now we're in this culture where it's like we can binge, full seasons of TV shows all in one sitting, and we get that instant gratification of getting a full story arc. Whereas, where you plot it out week by week, part of it is I feel that like, the payoff of waiting a week wasn't worth it, and then part of it is like it is just another walking and talking episode. I think it's like,
I agree, because you get past the slow episodes faster and you get to move on quicker than you would having to wait a week. And in that week you could walk away from the show. That's what happened with me with the CW shows. You hit a slow one and you're out for however long you're out.
That's one of the reasons why
I know Max's Walking Dead experience is similar to mine, because he stopped binging after like 3 or 4, and that's when he just lost interest in the show.
Not
that he wasn't already waning interest, but
the show got bad and I stopped watching it.
Just objectively.
And with Game of Thrones, I found myself enjoying it more when I was binging it than when I was watching it week to week. Now, I'm not a Game of Thrones guy. I'm not a huge fan of the series, but I found myself enjoying it more when I was able just to watch it in a bulk.
But since I come from comic books where they have the trade paperback, you can go get your monthlies, but you can wait and get the trade paperback and read everything all at once. And I've always been more of a fan of that. So I mean, it's that the culture to me is just more of the same. Like, hey, okay, well, why would I watch this one at a time and wait so long? Because then you have writer's strikes and you have if you're reading the Game of Thrones books, which are still unfinished, you have to wait so long. So I'm definitely a fan of just give me the whole thing when it's done. Whatever you want to show me all of it right now, and then let's move on from there. Because I don't mind things ending either. I'm not don't just because your story is popular doesn't mean you should make more of it. That I don't understand when you're like, oh well, people love it. Let's carry on some more. No, you didn't have a story for that. You don't have a good plan.
Yeah,
because it's a brand.
Yeah. But this goes to speak to us as a society, right? We can't wait anymore. Thanks to technology, and it's a blessing and a curse. But we now have zero patience to wait. And I'm guilty of it as well. It's true. It's just like the Mandalorian. I haven't even watched the second season yet because I'm waiting for it to be all there so I can binge watch it.
That's fair.
It's so good.
See, I just finished The Queen's Gambit, which is an easy 4 out of 3 if I could give it that. I love the show, but as I'm done watching it because I'm getting ready to record a review with Max on it, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if this wasn't a binge-worthy show, would I feel the same way about it? Because I don't know that it would have kept me coming back week to week. Yeah. But since I was able to watch it as one cohesive story, I think that added to my enjoyment level of it, because it's not the kind of show that I would have gone back to and watched.
Yeah. And you know what you can expect when you hit that low, if it's a bad show and you hit it goes off on a low point, you want to walk away. But at least if you have the next episode, you can be like, oh, let's give it 5 minutes into the next show and see it. And then it just hooks you right back in again. Right. So they're kind of smart about it by especially with Netflix and stuff, releasing things as full seasons versus as putting one up a week. So I kind of tip my hat to the producers that do that versus the ones that just release it every week, because trust me, your storylines are good, but they're not that good that I'm going to keep coming back if the next episode isn't right there. So
I feel that it depends on the type of show too, because I'm very much a completionist when it comes to long form storytelling and genre series, especially I'm about to do a retrospective on Smallville for whatever reason, but
Great show.
I know the show's not the best.
Hmm.
It's got glimmers of potential. It's got a lot of slow parts in it, but it's 10 seasons. But I'm starting this journey, and I know I have to kind of just follow it through regardless, because I'm a completionist like that narratively. But also you have shows like, say, Twin Peaks, the return, where narratively I don't think it really matters what's going on, but experience wise, it's like you have all these episodes directed by David Lynch, which are just visually and thematically like mind blowing, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm in it for this, as opposed to I just need to know how it all turns out, because ultimately it doesn't matter how it turns out. Like, do you find yourself what you feel is more appealing to you, a narratively complete type of arc in long form storytelling, or the overall experience?
That is a really that is like a double-edged knife for me, because I feel like no matter what you're watching, if you don't have a good story behind it, then the characters become dispensable, right? Like, then you don't really associate with the hero, the anti-hero, whoever you want to associate with. If the storyline sucks, it could be played by anybody, and you could just erase them at any point, in which case it's very hard to continue following with that story. However, it's funny that you mentioned Smallville, because I loved Smallville from the fact that, not that every episode was great, but I loved seeing who they'd bring in next from the DC universe, right? So to me, I just loved, even that little scene where they bring in the Flash, and at the end you've got Superman and the Flash running, and you're like, who would really win this? And then the Flash just kind of gives them like a tip of the hat and just boosts away and like dust. And I love that. Like, that to me was like, not only does it prove my point, but that was just a great way of doing it, to be like, oh, you're matched with me. And then he really runs.
That might be part of my issues with the CW shows, because a lot of the stuff we see in those shows we already saw in Smallville. And I agree, I'm also a fan of Smallville. I admit that seasons 6 through 9 were especially awful.
Smallville, Kansas is not the center of the fucking universe.
It was the origin story, right?
Everyone shows up in Smallville, Kansas. What the? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
we touched the button there for Max.
There are several buttons, this being one of them.
Yeah.
But Anthony, where does Michael Rosenbaum land on your list of Lex Luthors? I like to ask this question because he's top of mind. I think he's.
I agree. Yeah. So let's compare him to the other ones that are out there. The Kevin Spaceys, like, oh my God, what is it? Michael Cera, who played the ones from Justice League. Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah. Now, I like Jesse Eisenberg as an actor, but not as Lex Luthor. Like, Lex Luthor is cold, calculating. He's not like a goofball that I just like, this does not work. If you put Michael Rosenbaum in as Lex Luthor for the Justice League, I would have been all over that in a heartbeat.
Because he's menacing.
Yes.
One of the strong points of Smallville was always him, and it was always the scenes between him and Tom Welling.
Yes.
Those were always like the top notch of the series. And then when Michael Rosenbaum got smart and left the show due to declining quality,
his contract was up.
Yeah.
And I thought he's just. I've started watching his podcast recently. I didn't know the guy was a comedian first.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He's so menacing in this show, and I think that there's a lot of shows out there where the talent definitely is above the quality of the show, and Michael Rosenbaum is definitely an example of such high quality performances on a show that doesn't deserve him, I guess is the right phrase.
I'm also like, I didn't really dig Jesse Eisenberg but there's a lot I didn't dig about the Justice League movie. They like, he was doing a thing, they're like, don't do the normal Lex Luthor thing. Everyone's seen that. We need a different Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm. He was playing Max Landis.
Yeah. So go do this thing, and like, it sucks because it did not work at all. But like, I don't really. I'm like, okay, well, he was doing this thing, and the thing sucked. Like that's not. But he went for it.
But if that's the case, make a different villain. Don't make it Lex Luthor, because
I agree.
Was incorporated white America. Like he was the cold, calculating, almost. I know he's a villain. He's a villain in certain universes, I guess, if you really want to get into the whole different universes of DC. But he played an amazing job as a villain because he was just a man with a fantastic intellect.
And trying to do what he thought was best.
Yeah.
Which is always the scariest villains.
Yeah, right. I mean, that the ones who believe they're doing best for their city or for America or whatever you want, wherever Lex is now considering his place. But those are the most dangerous ones, are the ones they feel like they're doing it for the right reason, right? I mean, look at Thanos. Look at, like, everybody has. So my wife and I went to watch Endgame, and when it ended, I was so almost outraged internally when he makes the snap and people disappear, and I was like, oh my god. And you know what, this is probably the first movie that my wife and I ever sat down afterwards and had a 2-hour conversation about a movie that was probably just as long as the movie, but she really brought some light to it, that even though everybody looks at him as being the big villain, and through the comics he is a villain, in the movie he wasn't. He was the man who had to make a hard decision. He saw that the galaxy was overrun with famine, strife, war, all these things that people are going because the resources are running out. And he decided that if nobody's going to do it, I have to make this hard decision so the rest of people can live. And I was like, well, shit, I can't argue with that. Right? I mean, someone's got to do it.
Could have quadrupled the resources. But then there's no movie, so
that's the other thing. It's just like, well, why kill everybody, and why not just make the resources, make it larger,
then you have no movie,
galaxy bigger. Like, I don't know, because then you're not really teaching the lesson, I guess.
Yeah, you're not exploring something. You're not exploring like that character if you allow it to be that simple. But that I feel that's like the nitpick that comes up. It's like, why didn't you just quadruple resources? I'm like, otherwise, then you don't have $1 billion franchise, because that's why.
Yeah.
No, but I think like the argument to why not just make more resources, because like once there's more resources, then people are gonna be like, oh, there's more, we can make more people, and then
take more, right? And that's how it works. But I mean, okay, let's say you want to make more resources. Well, the Earth is already so heavily populated. You're going to make resources and what? Store them where? You don't have the land to do it. That's the whole problem, right? So
it's that logic that people start to apply to the fantasy. That's like, no, this is straightforward enough.
That's right.
But
he's the bad guy, and that's the way he's going to be.
One of the things to piggyback that is with Thanos, I'm not pro his decision, but I understand what he was trying to do.
I'm pro his decision.
He wasn't judging anybody. It was all random. Like, he wasn't saying get rid of all the poor people let the rich continue to thrive.
Yeah.
No, just random people.
Like, it would have been cool though. I think it would have been an interesting plot point though. Like, if like he does the snap and he disappears, and like, with the gauntlet, like that would have been interesting. Like,
plot twist.
Yeah, and
honestly, that would have probably added a lot more stakes, because that would have made more of the thing of like, now we got to go back and get everything, and it would have made more sense to bring the past Thanos in and be like, hey, here's what happened. You snapped yourself out of existence, you dummy.
And erase the only way for us to fix the problem too. Like, that I think would have been a better storyline. But like, I'm not saying I would do the Thanos thing, but I can't. I'm in that camp. I'm sorry. I'm in that camp.
At that point, Thanos probably would have been like, well, that's the way it had to play out then.
Right.
He was
resolved that like this is what has to be done. So
he saw himself get decapitated, and he's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Three Geeks Podcast. Max zapped himself out of existence, but the rest of us are here.
I like like in Spider-Man 3 when everyone comes back and like half the marching band is on the field, like when they're playing. Just all of a sudden, you don't get to pick who goes. So like, I thought that was, that's
my favorite part of Far From Home, is where everybody blips back in the video.
Yeah. Yeah, and what everybody was doing at the time, or how people have moved on. You're like, well, this is awkward.
Right? Yeah, like oh no, we don't have a house now because somebody's been living in my house for 5 years.
That's right.
Oh yeah, and by the way, his plan would have worked for a couple years, but then it's like, people get together and copulate and make more babies, so it's like it was going to happen.
That's why he just hung the armor up. He didn't get rid of it because he's like, oh, I have to come back another like 4,000 years and do this again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Ant-Man had
Scarecrow.
in Endgame, Ant-Man had me a blubbering mess when he goes and finds his daughter 5 years older. I can't imagine missing 5 years of my kid's life.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're stuck in a weird van.
Yeah.
He owes everything to that rat. Like I love that whole epic finale hinges on the fact that a rat pressed a button at random.
It's like in Star Wars. Like if those guys would have just obliterated the escape pod that the droids were on, it's like, oh no, shoot it down. Like we're not messing around with this.
That's right.
The whole entirety of Star Wars is done.
I was in
Empire.
That was in the Family Guy Blue Harvest. Like, are we saving bullets?
Right.
Oh my god! That was like movie over. Roll credits. We're done.
Yeah.
But to bring it full circle, Max was talking about earlier about shows having ends, like being able to do their show and then walk away. And one of the things, as a fan of Lost, as obviously since Lost, Damon Lindelof has made The Leftovers, which has been absolutely critically praised, and then he made Watchmen, which has absolutely been critically appraised. I'm just, a part of me wants to see the Lost that Damon Lindelof would have made had he not had studio interference.
Yeah.
Because he's done such a good job with all of his TV that he's done since then that he's had full control over. And I haven't seen Watchmen. I haven't seen The Leftovers yet, but they're on my list. Yeah. And I've heard they're both fantastic. I heard Leftovers season 1's not super great, but
it's hard to get into.
I heard it makes up for it in the latter seasons, but I've heard nothing but good things about those two shows.
I love Watchmen, and
he walked away from that. He's not doing another season if they do.
I mean, the same way Alan Moore, he wrote The Watchmen, and that was it. Like the story was told. I'm not adding or taking away anything from it. Like that, I made what I made, and Alan Moore won't adapt his stuff to TV because I made it for the medium that I made it to tell the story that I wanted to tell. And I 100% love and appreciate that because it's okay to have a story and just have it be that. And so many people, like, oh, well, what happens? You can talk about it. You can make up story. Like, that's what we geek out about. Like, what do you think happened afterwards? Like let people do that on their own time. But you don't have to, once you write it down and it becomes canon, that's it, and it's limiting in that way.
I like Lindelof talks about it. He says, I took Alan Moore's baton. I did my thing in this universe. I'm dropping the baton. Somebody else can pick it up and continue down the road. Oh, yeah. But one of the things I'm a big fan of The Outsider on HBO, and I know there's other books in the franchise, but I'm glad that season 1 is all we're getting because I think that show did a good job from beginning to end, and I think it should be self-contained.
Well, that brings up the whole death of the author question again, which is Watchmen, for all intents and purposes, is up for grabs. Like Lindelof said, like he said, someone could take it and run with it. Someone could tell another story in that universe. Does it hold any less legitimacy because it's not connected to either Lindelof or Moore directly, or can it thrive as its own thing? The Outsider, I agree with you. It's I think we should just keep it at what it is, but like you said, there's more in that series, and if someone wants to take it upon themselves to adapt it, will it hold as much legitimacy as that first series did, even though it's maybe not as connected to it?
Well, a lot of people don't know that The Outsider is actually a 4th book in a series, and that there's a whole lot of back history that they didn't bring into the show. And as a fan, because Mr. Mercedes is the series that The Outsider is a part of, and as a fan of the show Mr. Mercedes, I'm curious if they're ever going to adapt that under that show. But I'm glad that they left those characters out and did The Outsider, because Mr. Mercedes is a really good show as well, especially that first season. It's best king. And then, The Outsider, which is perfect. Even though at first I went into it, I'm like, they're not adapting the book because there's a lot of characters appear in the Mr. Mercedes series that they left out of the miniseries. I'm like, well, they're not adapting the book. That means these storylines can't happen. and we're meeting this character as a brand new character instead of having followed her over 3. But I still thought it was really good. And I'm not usually one of those guys that's make up the 4th one and just leave it at that. And I thought they did a good job, and I hope that they do leave it at that.
I just want a good story. Like whatever it is you plan on doing, I want you to just do it, but then do that. Like if you plan on 5 seasons and you've got your story for 5 seasons, then make 5 seasons and then stop. If you like with the Flash, like they never thought they were getting to season 2, so they did everything they could in season 1, and then like, hey, guess what? You get a season 2. They're like, well, okay, and they do it again, and it's just like, no, like it's not as good because you guys shot your whole load on this one season, and then now we can't. You got nothing left. So I just want, like, whatever it is you want to do, like, make a plan and do that, and then when it's done, just put it down. Like it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Justin, your thoughts? Sorry.
No, I'm just
very quiet.
listening to Max. No, I'm just listening to Max go off. I just enjoyed that a lot. No, it's so interesting to see all those different aspects and your opinions on them. So it's all good. No, I'm just glad.
I guess
Just
the
making
question
sure.
I have for
Yeah,
all
you
of
could.
you is, if you could bring back one series, which one would each of you choose?
Batman the animated series.
Which one? Sorry.
Batman the animated series.
Ooh, that was good. Yeah.
Mine would be Lost, but completely controlled by the 2 guys and not the studio.
All right. Yeah.
Justin, go ahead.
Well, I want to kind of pivot your question because I know it's in the making, but not yet. But I want a really good Lord of the Rings animated or not. I know there was an animated series a while, but I would love a good story in a Lord of the Rings universe
All right.
that has nothing to do with the ring, just
Yeah.
like some,
Side.
yeah,
Did you play
Shadow of Mordor.
Yes.
Yes,
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
That was really good. I like that a lot. That was
Mike, what would you choose?
I just want more Twin Peaks. Honestly, like narrative.
It's a good
It
one.
can be. It
It's
can
a good
be.
one.
It could be narratively. It could be tapioca. I don't care because it'll be beautifully shot tapioca. So that's the
I
thing.
gotta-
It's
I got to piggyback off of Mike's comment about Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And that the original Twin Peaks series made everybody think they were David Lynch fans until the new Twin Peaks series came out. And David Lynch didn't have to follow television standards and could literally make what he wanted. And he literally made an 18-hour movie where the first 6 hours is the first act. So nothing makes sense yet because you haven't gotten to the second act of the story.
Yeah.
And
two episodes are just Kyle MacLachlan in front of a slot machine going, hello. And that's it.
I changed my answer to Twin Peaks as well because
MTV.
while I like the way they left the return of Twin Peaks, kind of ambiguity where they could continue it, I also like the idea that it doesn't need to continue. But I'm with Mike. I think Twin Peaks would be great. I think we should get more of that 18-hour art fest that we got. Did you watch Twin Peaks, Anthony, the new one?
I haven't seen the new one. I did watch the original.
There is one episode in that series, Mike and I reviewed it on his channel, where it's like watching art for 45 minutes. It is black and white, and it's absolutely glorious. The first 10 minutes of the episode, you get like a solo.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil
I
it.
could go on both ways. I mean,
He's into
most
it.
people say watching art is like watching paint dry, but
Not the way Lynch does it.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm a Lynch fan. I know
It's
that.
very interesting paint, Jason said.
But what's fascinating about the return is leading up to the return. I had all these people talking about how big a David Lynch fans they were. So I lent them my copy of whatever movie of his.
Did not know what you were asking for.
They watched it and they're like, "Who did this?" I'm like, "David Lynch, that guy that you love so much."
Yeah.
No, we love him with the handcuffs.
So I gotta tell you guys, I'm a little disappointed in all of you.
Okay.
Not one of you said to bring back Firefly.
Oh, well,
I mean,
I mean,
that's a good one.
We're all like that
Well,
abused sibling or spouse that keeps telling they're gonna change and they never change. That's how we feel about Firefly. Like we keep being told that it can come back and it never does come back.
Well, I mean, John Whedon said it couldn't because of what they did to Wash.
yeah.
That it-
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the story's kind of done, I felt.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, they could do a prequel. How did they all meet? How did they all kind of? I mean, they kind of go a little
They
bit.
do that,
over it.
yeah.
They
I-
yeah. They kind
I
of.
can't get into prequels because I know what happens.
Yeah.
Like, there's no stakes.
Character died. Yeah.
I gotta say though, if they Wet Hot American Summered it, where they all came back and played younger versions of themselves without actually aging them down, I'd be down.
Yeah.
Like I'm not against the idea of more Firefly, but like when they got to make the movie, they got to tell another story that put a cap on a lot of things. And people talk about Wash, but what about Shepherd Book? Like,
Yeah.
What a crappy way for him to go out.
right? And I mean, like, I'm not mad at it. You know, like they told a story and they got to tell it, and so I feel like Firefly. Wow, we didn't get the volume of Firefly that we would like. We did
quality.
Get the end of the story.
I think that with Disney now owning Firefly, I don't think we've seen the last of the franchise, the name Firefly.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's going to mean the original. I'd be down for an animated series. I'm not a huge animated fan, but if you can get those guys to come back and provide voices. Give us a Firefly cartoon.
But if they did make more Firefly, I wouldn't want them to like. I mean, I love Wash, I love Shepherd Book, but I would like to hear, you know, what happens after like they're gone. Like they told the story where they're dead. You know, like stick to it.
I know that Whedon recently did comic books that kind of continues the story.
Yeah.
You remember? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
One thing I just want to say about Shepherd Book is they didn't explain him really at all. They alluded to the fact that maybe he was Alliance, but they didn't actually say he was. I mean, he probably was some type of high-ranking general, you know, and that was the story I wanted them to go off. They went back to everybody's history, really, but his.
He's definitely the character that I feel would have the spin-off potential for like a prequel series or something like where you could dig into a little bit more of that character's history because it was so vague and because he purposefully dodged it all the time. Like everyone kept asking him like, "What's your story?" And he just like doesn't matter. And it was like Joss Whedon's like, guess what? I'm writing through this character. He's saying what I'm thinking. It doesn't matter. Right now.
I really hate to say this, but we got to wrap up because I have a hard out at 2 because I have something to do at 2:30. And
bummer.
Anthony, I think we could talk to you for hours, so I'm definitely going to message you about getting you back on. Maybe at the beginning of next year. We'd love to have you back on.
Sounds great, guys.
Tell everybody where they can find the freaking awesome podcast.
I think the easiest thing, like we're on pretty much every social media and definitely every streaming service out there for podcasts. But the easiest way to follow us is just go to our website, www.thefap.ca.
Awesome. And speaking of David Lynch,
the FAP. Oh god, that's awesome.
All puns intended. Yes.
Sorry, Mike. I'm going to mention the emoji again.
Well played.
Speaking of David Lynch, if you want to see something Lynchian in every greatness of the word, go to youtube.com/Mike McGTV. Search for the review of the Emoji Movie as directed by David Lynch. It is the funniest 5 minutes of YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
It is so good.
I'll have to check that out.
It is so good.
I'll send you the link. But
put the link in the description.
3 Geeks Podcast. Go to 3geeks.ninja. The website is redesigned. Fun stuff coming down the road. Max and I have a review of Lock and Key, Jay and Bob, and Queen's Gambit coming out this week at some point. And from all of us, 3 Geeks Podcast, guys, have a great day.
Recycle your droids.
See ya.
Take care, guys.